As we examine the Bible for the origin of modern holidays, let's explore memorials in the Old Testament. In 2 Samuel 18th chapter, 18th verse, we see that Prince Absalom set up a memorial for himself in a place called the King's Dale. In Genesis, the 14th chapter, 17th verse, we can see the King's Dale is also the location where Abraham met with the kings after a war. After the end of the Civil War in the United States, a tradition called Memorial Day began, where its citizens honor the military who died in service by visiting their graves. And the King's Dale of the Bible seems to be a cemetery located in a valley. In modern times, archaeologists have discovered a valley in Africa where military officers known as pharaohs were buried and memorialized during a tradition known as the Beautiful Feast of the Valley. And being remembered was the reason Prince Absalom built his memorial, it says, in remembrance. We're back in Genesis 14th chapter where the king priest Melchizedek gave thanks and brought food and wine to the valley of the King's Dale. And as we read Hosea, the 9th chapter, 4th verse, it identifies bread with mourning. Let's keep in mind when Israel invaded Canaan, they adopted their traditions. Abram was an immigrant who seemingly adopted the culture of the kings of Canaan, as seen in Genesis 14, where they met him in the King's Dale. And this means memorials were an ancient practice. In 1 Samuel, the 18th verse, and this 18th chapter, 6th verse, after a war, the kings were met by women who were dancing and singing with tambourines and instruments. And this is a culture of the African diaspora. These events in the Bible provide evidence that traditions associated with memorials are older than Western society and began in Africa. But how do you think these traditions reached the United States of America?